Future Funk 2 is a 2.1 solo insane demon level created and published by Jonathan GD and verified by Embed. It is the sequel to the first version of Future Funk. This level was released on February 10th, 2020, with the official gameplay video being released by Jonathan GD on February 13th, 2020. The level begins with a green dash orb to go down into the level. A simple cube section follows, then a UFO and another cube section. All these three sections have the same design. After that part, the next part is quicksand themed in 2.2-ish. This part has hard timings, which are almost twice as hard as the first ball part in Future Funk. The player enters a 3-layer building, each layer consisting of a different game mode. Layer 1 is a cube part where the player gets to the end of Layer 1. They get teleported to the beginning of Layer 2, which is a robot. Likewise, when the player gets to the end of Layer 2, they teleport into the start of Layer 3. After the player reaches the end of Layer 3, they transition into a short cube section. This part contains a bunch of moving obstacles moving together to form platforms. After the blue background glow part, the next part comes and follows with a bunch of obstacles. The bottom of the screen says, "You can double jump," which means that the player can jump twice in a row before they need to hit a surface. Note, it is not going to be permanent in the level. It is temporarily and will last until the next part. Then the next part with a short wave and UFO section. After that, there is a spider spam part, which the player must spam very consistently. The next part is the drop. The player starts as a rocket ship and must fly through many teleportation portals. There are also many short UFO spam parts. After that part, the player enters a dual wave. The player one color wave of the player's duel must go through the blue, right side up portals, and the player 2 color wave must go through the yellow upside down portals. This repeats multiple times until it becomes single instead of a dual. The following part after the skipped part is slow paced and not particularly difficult. The camera angle is very unique and has a 2.2 style. This is the halfway point. The next part requires hard ball timings, and the following requires some UFO and robot timings. The following part is a remake of a short part in Future Funk. However, unlike Future Funk, this part is an upside down mini cube and has obstacles that might cause overhead damage to the player. Now, the next part comes, featuring a bunch of tricky robot timings. The next part comes a zebra-themed background, as well as rotating bricks that kill the player upon touching them. The player must wave very carefully to avoid them. Then the part consists of a rocket ship where the player must hit 3 toggle orbs in order to pass. Following next is a UFO section in which the player must spam, but in a controlled manner. One example is at 78%, during which the player must stop spamming for a second until they get to the next spam part. The next part is rainbow styled. It is similar to the part with moving blocks from earlier, but instead of it being a cube, it is a robot. The next part is a duel. The sequence goes as follows: dual cube, dual spider, asymmetrical, wave, dual ball, asymmetrical, mini wave, dual cube, asymmetrical. Finally, a dash orb is used to enter the final stretch of the level. The next part is final, with a beautiful rainbow style containing hard UFO, rocket ship, ball, spider, cube, and wave timings. It begins with a mini cube, then transitions into a UFO in which the player must click all the toggle orbs. Next up is a short wave section and a controlled spider spam. Then is a short cube and rocket ship section where the player must hit a blue orb. After that is a mini ball section in which the player must click specific orbs to pass. This is followed by a rather tricky mini rocket ship section where the player needs to hit both of the green orbs to pass. Finally, there is a mini wave, 2 sets of double spikes, and 1 final robot jump at 99%. The final robot jump has 4 sphere options, but if the player clicks too early or holds or clicks on the first, second, or fourth sphere, it causes them to get killed. However, the best orb to pass 99% is to hit the third pink sphere, leading the player to complete the level. Otherwise, they will not make it. Juniper died at 96%, 97%. Juniper died at 96%, 97%, and 99% 4 times. There are 3 user coins on this demon level. All these coins require keys to be unlocked. The first coin is located at 16%. In order to get it, the player has to flick a switch and take a harder route to unlock it. Once the player does so, the coin can be unlocked by hitting a blue orb, which the player is usually not supposed to do, jumping twice and hitting the green sphere. The switch is located at 5%. In order to flick it, the player must tap only once after they enter the second gravity portal, fall down and trigger the switch, and then tap quickly to return to the main path. The second part of the first coin requires the player to take a harder route. This is located at 11%. The player must jump over the triple spike, avoiding the red sphere, jump and hit the red button, and then fall back onto layer 1. After this, one must ideally jump onto the 2 platforms and jump back onto layer 2 using the red sphere. The second coin is located at 55%. In order to get it, the player is required to hit 3 buttons. Once the player hits all 3, 2 sets of spikes will become fake. The player can roll on one of them without getting killed, then hit the black sphere to collect the coin. The first button is at 26%. To hit it, the player has to stay as upside down as an upside down wave by avoiding the previous gravity portal and the dash orb. The second button is at 28%. To hit it, the player needs to avoid the dash orb and tap at least twice instead. The button is at the bottom of the screen. The third button is located at 42%. In order to hit it, the player needs to go through the top pathway instead of the bottom one. The third coin is at 99%, and it is free to collect. If activated, the coin will fall down just before the 99% jump. However, the player needs to collect 6 keys in total. The first 3 keys are at 67%, 68%, and 69%. They can be identified by 3 faint pulsing green squares amongst the red squares. One of the squares in question should be touched to collect a key. The fourth key is located at 50. The fourth key is at 84%. In order to get this key, the player must avoid the cube portal and instead wave upwards to collect the mini coin. The fifth key is at 87%. There is a tiny gap in the mini wave in which lies a mini coin. The sixth key is at 92%. This is similar to the fourth key. One must avoid the cube portal and instead wave upwards to collect the mini coin. This level's password is 787153. This level contains 184457 objects. This level is 3 minutes and 39 seconds long. This level was nominated for and achieved Best XL Demon in the Geometry Dash 2020 awards. The level's predecessor, Future Funk, achieved the same award a year earlier. If the player gets killed at 99%, there originally was an animation of Guitar Hero Styles raging, which was a reference to his many 99% fails on the original Future Funk. Surprisingly enough, he never actually died at 99% when he played this level in normal mode. The animation was removed in October 2021 and instead replaced with a link to the Pan's tweet about the Guitar Hero Styles drama. The next day, the link was removed and replaced with a text that says, "Never gonna give you up," in reference to the Rick Roll meme. To avoid copyright, Jonathan added a reverb effect to the song in hits of it. Many players made jokes about this effect, joking that he recorded it in a bathroom. On July 18th, 2020, the 99% jump was significantly nerfed due to people complaining that it was too difficult. A few other of Jonathan GD's previous levels also had their 99% endings nerfed for the same reason. If the player gets back from layer 2 to layer 1 as a robot in the quicksand part, they would get back to layer 2 instead of layer 3 as a robot. But after some time, the quicksand would rise up and drown the player because of the background's quicksand. By skipping the blue sphere at 63% and hitting the yellow sphere while upside down, thus getting under the platform, and the game crashes due to a spawn trigger placed there to prevent knocklet. There is also another knocklet anti-cheat trigger at 7% to 11%, where going into the lava will crash the game too. A Korean player named Red Switch had a world record of 29 fails at 99%. Some of Lem Kuja's songs have been removed from Newgrounds due to Lem Kuja being banned from Newgrounds for sampling. At the start of the level, artwork of the mythical Pokemon Jiraki can be seen, unless low detail mode is turned on, in which a black screen with white text reading "No Jirachi for you" is displayed. On February 13th, 2023, a Geometry Dash parody news account had posted that Future Funk 2 was unrated due to the discovery of multiple crash triggers. The image in the post was photoshopped to instead have an unrated, insane face as the difficulty and the star rating removed, leading people to believe that this post was real. However, others soon realized that this was a fake image posted as a joke. Coincidentally, Jonathan GD had removed the crash triggers just before seeing the post. This level was Eric Van Wilderman's 12 Demons of Christmas 2023 Community Series as Demon Number 1.